In this video, we'll be adding 4 more enemy types into my game. Hi, my name is Adrian, and I'm working on an isometric top-down game that combines platforming and roguelite elements. So far, the process is running smoothly, except for one thing. I do not have enough enemy variety in my game. So far, there are only 4 enemies in the game, all of which I've covered in my first devlog. This is a problem, because with the scope I have envisioned for this game, 4 enemies simply are not enough. So I've decided to add 4 more enemies into the game, basically doubling the amount of enemies in the game so far. So with the introduction out of the way, let's get started. It took me a while for me to come up with ideas for enemies, since I need to make sure these enemies fit in with gameplay and are not annoying to fight. I could take the easy route and just change the elemental attacks of the enemy, say for instance making them shoot out fireballs instead of regular bullets. But I scrapped that idea since it felt too lazy and wouldn't really change up gameplay at all. I will eventually add this when I add player status effects down the line, but right now I want to do something else. So after hours upon hours of brainstorming ideas, this is what I came up with. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. I just said I didn't want to change up the original attacks of an existing enemy, but I needed another melee enemy, and this is what I thought up of at the time. I promise that it's just this one enemy. The rest are completely original. So the tiny mushroom is similar to the regular sized mushroom in movement, except for the fact that it jumps more often and goes way further than the original when jumping. I didn't really have to change much when making this enemy, since it's already based off an existing one. So this is what it looks like. After the mushroom, it took me a while to come up with an enemy that could fit my game. But after a while, I realized that the main idea of this game is that it takes ideas and concepts from a platformer, not just a top-down game. So I started thinking of enemies that I've seen in platformers before, and my mind almost instantly went to the Met enemies from the Mega Man series, whose purpose was to hide from the player and then shoot when the player got too close. And I felt that this idea would fit well in my game. So I came up with this mole enemy. And the idea was to make it similar to the Met enemy, but instead of hiding under a hat, it would duck underground and throw rocks at the player if they got too close. So first, I made a sprite for the mole. And after a bit of coding, this is what I got. They pop up and down like I want them to, but they don't attack. That's alright, since that's something very easy to add. What I also wanted to add was an ability for the enemy to move around when it's underground. So that way, it's less predictable, and so I added that. And lastly, I gave them the ability to throw a rock at an arc at the player before going underground, which I thought looked nice. And this is the final result. Since we have an enemy that's underground, and an enemy that's on ground, I think it's about time I add an enemy that's in the sky. And that's what I did. And so the idea for this enemy is that when the player is right underneath them, the enemy will go straight down hoping to crush the player. This is similar to the swamp enemy from the Mario series, except it has wings. And it follows you, which makes it kind of creepier in my opinion. So first, I made a bigger version of the existing bat enemy, did some coding magic, added squash and stretch, and here's what I got. Not a bad addition to the game in my opinion, and it didn't really take that long to complete. The same cannot be said for the next and last enemy that I added to the game. For the final enemy, I want to make a big tanky enemy that can take a lot of hits and would make the player actively avoid trying to get too close to them. Kinda like that one enemy from Enter the Gungeon whose name I cannot remember. However, the thing that would set this enemy apart from all other enemies in the game so far is the fact that this enemy would be able to attack in 2 different ways. A melee attack and a long range attack. The idea is that when the enemy is too close, it'll go for a jump attack and lunge at the player. And when it's too far, it'll go for a long-ranged attack. So to get started, I made a walking animation for the enemy. You know how the last 3 enemies were easy to make? This one took as long as the other 3 combined. It took a lot of work trying to get the jump to work correctly and go to the player's actual position, but after a while, I got the enemy to jump around. And here's what that looks like. But something still felt off. So I added a jumping and landing sprite for the enemy, give squash and stretch, and a bit of screen shake when it landed. And this is the final result. I like the uniqueness of this enemy, giving it 2 different ways of attacking. And I might even spread this to other enemies down the line. But that's all I have for this week. I didn't work on the game as much since the last devlog, since I was visiting family for the week. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to give me any ideas you want to see added to the game. Next devlog, I think I'll focus on making boss battles for my game. Either that, or I'll focus on making the game look nicer overall. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.